I'd like to call the Anderson School District 5 Board of Trustees meeting to order at this time. At this time, we please stand, and Ms. Burris, do you mind doing an invocation?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Father, we come into your presence and we thank you, Lord, for each of the faculty and staff, the students, Lord, and these excellence that they've exhibited, Lord, for our schools. Father, thank you for Dr. Kelly's leadership, Lord, and we just give this meeting over to you, Lord. Lead and guide us by your Holy Spirit. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Now for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everyone's had a chance to review the agenda sent to you via email. Do I have a motion we accept the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Patrick. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Second by Mr. Kay. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the agenda as presented, please raise your right hand. It passes. Recognition of excellence. Dr. Kelly?
Yes, Chairman Price and board members, thank you so much for entertaining tonight. We have some great rewards that we want to acknowledge. We have, again, Southwood coming. Again, we had some last month, but we have even more students who have earned the All-State Band and Orchestra Award. So we're going to ask Jamie Smith, Principal of Southwood Academy of the Arts, if he would come and present those awards for us.
Dr. Kelly, Chairman Price, members of the board, it's my pleasure to be back with you again tonight. The last time I was here, we were recognizing students who had participated, who had made All-State and participated in an All-State. Back again tonight because we had two students who were actually doing a concert the night that we recognized everyone else. So I'd like to call up their teacher, Ms. Griffith. If you would come on up as their teacher, I'll let her hand out the awards. And our two students being recognized tonight are Alex Seawright and Aurelia LeBrun.
Perfect. All right, so Brooke, do you want to get a picture?
Congratulations.
Great job.
Quit hitting on teachers.
All right, and we are very fortunate tonight that we have another recognition of excellence. So if I could have North Point Elementary School, all of their faculty stand up. Remain standing. Now, as you saw the video that was playing prior to our meeting coming to order, but I want to read, they were just recently recognized for Palmetto's Finest in South Carolina, and here is why. This is what was said about them. North Point has proudly received the Palmetto Gold Award for the past 4 years with a focus on clarity of standards and student engagement using learning targets and success criteria developed collaboratively by grade level teams. North Point is able to direct instruction to exceed projected student growth in ELA and math. A robust, multi-tiered system provides targeted reading interventions tailored to students' needs. The school strategically groups students for guided reading and places an emphasis on career readiness through project-based learning, career exploration, and extracurricular opportunities like robotics. So thank you. Thank you for what you do for our kids. Thank you for what you do for our community. And we are so proud and so excited of you. And I believe we have a banner for you. So if you guys will come up this way, we'll put the banner in front of you. And then Brooke, we can get a picture. Everybody. Everybody. Everybody.
Congratulations.
Keep up the good work. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Congratulations. Thank y'all. Congratulations. Congratulations. Great job.
How are you?
Congratulations. Great job.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you for what you do.
Congratulations. Great job. Thank you.
Congratulations. Hey, thank you. Really proud of y'all.
Great job. Thank you.
While they are exiting, I know they don't want to see our exciting board meeting. We got 2 more recognitions of excellence. Some of y'all don't realize the South Carolina Teacher of the Year is a product of Westside High School and Anderson School District 5, Braden Sullivan. What's her last name again?
I don't know, I just know her
She
name.
won South Carolina Teacher of the Year, and just like to just give a hand round of applause. That's a huge accomplishment. And I think, according to Ms. Hurd, we've got another state championship in town. The T.L. Hanna Golf won the 5A state championship for a back-to-back year. So let's give them a round of applause. That's impressive. I just hope they don't show up Thursday. The T.L. Hanna Golf tournament's Thursday, if y'all want to know. All right, moving along. We've got opportunity for citizens to address the board. I've got 2 people signed up. First, I've got Mr. Bill Thompson III, please. Mr. Thompson, you have 3 minutes to address the board, please, sir.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, I have some adult topics to talk about, so I don't know if there's some parents and children may want an opportunity to leave. I just want to give you that opportunity out of consideration for you. So y'all can tell me if anybody's leaving or if you're ready for me to go ahead.
You can go ahead.
Point of order.
Yes.
Excuse me, are you going to be using any words that children should not hear?
There won't be any curse words, but
Is it possible to convey your point without, with refraining from using those words?
I don't know what words you're concerned about. I mean,
Well, you prefaced your comments.
Yeah, I understand, but before I start, I mean, has everybody had an opportunity to leave so that I can go ahead?
Not if what you say is going to be inappropriate,
Okay,
because if that's the case, I need to leave.
okay. So what do we do here? What should I do?
What we do is we convey our point without any inappropriate language.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I've got 2 issues to talk about. One of them is the budget. I'm not sure whether you're considering a millage increase. I know that Ms. Amy Hurd's worked hard on the budget, and she has said she's trying not to do a millage increase. But I'm going to tell you, this community can't afford any more taxes. According to South Carolina State Report Card from the Department of Education, 75% of students at Westside High School are in poverty. That's up from 70% last year. 46% of students at T.L. Hanna High School are in poverty. That's up from 40% last year. Now is the time to budget. It's not the time to raise taxes. Last year, 3 out of 9 members of the County Board of Education rejected your budget. That is more, there was more opposition to District 5's budget than any other budget in this county last year. That's number one. Number two, I have a concern about the sex education curriculum in District 5. I've got some worksheets here that are appalling and shocking. If any of you would like to see them or haven't had an opportunity to see them, I've got them right here for you. Whatever needs to happen to remove and replace the sex ed curriculum in District 5 needs to happen. I would like to see the curriculum review committee for sex ed reconvene so that the public can have a say in this. Because somehow it slipped by the entire public, the entire board, the superintendent, and everything. So I would appreciate, again, you considering reconvening the curriculum review committee for sex education in District 5 so that we can get this right. And I'm appalled at what we've been administering to the students in District 5 the past 6 or 7 years.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, sir.
Next, Crystal Edwards. Ms. Edwards, you have 3 minutes, please, Amy.
I'm Crystal Edwards. As I stand here tonight, as I wanted to put names with faces in an attempt to future conversation regarding a serious matter that took place in one of the District 5 elementary schools. As a parent of a victim that was bullied, speaking on behalf of my daughter, when I say she is traumatized to the situation is an understatement. I would like to state and highlight tonight as a result of the lack of proper investigation as to ask why a justifiable consequence was not given to the student aggressor. The threatened to kill my daughter, threatened to have a group jump my child in the restroom at school and demonstrate daily bullying and torment my child. I am publicly announcing that I am not satisfied with the outcome of the investigation regarding the child's situation. The lack of seriousness and urgency that came from the staff, or lack of, after I escalated my disagreement and concern regarding the consequence or lack of the aggressor. Despite me highlighting and referring to the district and school's own code of conduct and policy, several in which was violated and not upheld to protect my child. Does the elements and factors of severity, frequency, and intent sound familiar to the board? As all of these factors are my daughter endured during this time. The dismissal by the staff individuals that did not treat the level of severity as I would like to see has brought months to pass without a resolution. With the policy of consequence not being displayed with the other parties and the code of conduct giving the option to the aggressor guardian to appeal their consequences, what right does the victim have? Leads me to ask why the reclassification and consequence level differs from a student to student threat compared to a student to staff threat. What rights does the staff, does the victim have? Because in our case, it was not the opportunity of your code of conduct, section D lists safety and orderly education environment. I have been more than patient and have allowed each member of staff a timely opportunity for response, feedback, and resolution. The most recent being with Superintendent Dr. Kelly last Friday, with no feedback as of current, up until moments before this meeting, she did address me. I'm also prepared to bring more awareness of the situation until a resolution is determined. I'm closely looking forward to talking with some of you individually with more details. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What you said, the child's name is what?
You can't say the child's name.
Val Edwards.
We can't answer that.
No, he said you can't say the name of the child.
Sorry, I didn't hear you say that.
All right, anyone else to address the board? All right, we'll take these matters
No,
and
we have
consider.
some.
Yes, sir. Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, well, we would like to address the board about Glenview. My granddaughter went on a field trip with the 6th graders. She has a issue. We sent clothes, but the child was not allowed to change clothes when she had an accident because the bus wasn't with them. The bus come back. The assistant principal, the principal, and the teacher that was her guardian knew she had an accident, knew she had clothes on the bus. The principal and the assistant principal didn't go to this child and asked her. Students on the bus took pictures of her, posted on social media. Well, wow, the child got suspended for 2 days. 2 days. Both of them got suspended for 2 days. This child gets bullied every day of the week. She and even got told yesterday, the little boy told her yesterday, I've already got in trouble for beating somebody up. I'll beat you up and stab you. He's threatened to kill her. He's threatened to stab her. Okay, so we're taking a middle break for the rest of the school year on District 5. She's not to be counted absent. The principal's already approved that. But why should we do this? Why can we not do something about the bullying? I mean, this child went to school last year getting bullied. Nothing was done. It's going on in Glenview this year. So for a kid posting pictures of a child that has a medical issue, that she wet her pants on a field trip and was not allowed to change, that's neglect. If it had been me having her in Atlanta with wet clothes on, where would I be today? She would be taken from us, correct? But we're going to allow a teacher to still teach this child that has not even apologized? Has not. I mean, if anything was done, they won't tell us. They would not even tell us what was done to the students for posting pictures on social media of this child with wet pants and putting the D word on it. She's in 6th grade, she still wet her D pants. Okay, it's a medical issue. It don't matter what the issue is. But we send this child to school. She's not protected at school. We're not protected as parents. They won't talk to me. I called the principal 3 weeks ago, left a message for him to call me. He didn't call me. He told my daughter that afternoon he would call me. I'm a grandparent. I don't appreciate it. Y'all as school board members need to know there ain't nothing being done at these schools for bullying. Nothing at all. Nothing. We send the kids home for 3 days for suspension, 2 days for suspension, whatever. But the kid that gets bullied as soon as they get back to school. And then it's not just them, then it's their friends. So then you're getting bullied by 4 or 5 people, maybe 6 or 7. So what's y'all's plan? We come over here, we had a meeting, they got back with us, we wanted to change her schools. We want her out of Glenview next year and into McCants. We were told that that wasn't possible unless y'all approved it. I want an approval. Can we get this child out of Glenview and can we get her in McCants next year and see if it's better? Or do we need to pull her out altogether and find somewhere else to put her? She's here for an education. She's not here to be bullied. She's not here. Last week at school, she took a pair of scissors and tried to cut her wrist.
Oh, Lord.
She's not going to die at y'all's offense because I'm not going to let it. So either y'all fix the problem or take these kids out of school and put them back at home where they're safe. They're not safe at school. Because the teachers and the principals that know about it, they let it continue. We give the kids that are doing it a slap on the wrist and let them go home. I mean, you send me home for 2 days, it ain't gonna hurt me. Send me home for 2 days.
We will, this is the first I've heard of it, so I apologize, but I'll get Dr. Hudson, Assistant Superintendent of Student Services. He'll reach out to you so that we can talk it through.
I'm telling you, the teacher and the assistant principal told my daughter exactly when my grandchild peed her pants. And that was at the first
And
place they went to.
what was your name?
Rhonda McClellan. And I have never been to y'all's board meeting, but I made a perfect attempt. I couldn't work tonight. I had to come to this board.
We're glad you're here.
Glad you're here. Thank you.
We're glad you're here.
Anyone else address the board?
Can I say one thing?
It's not a public forum, but I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Just adding to her comment, when I've escalated to the District 5 office and have even, like Dr. Kelly said, let Dr. Hudson handle situations, the second to last meeting that we had, he admitted in this meeting that he dropped the ball in our situation. So the district has, not only the school, the principal, the district, and the board has held my child.
Thank you. Any other citizens to address the board? Thank you for all the comments, and we'll address these issues. I'll assure you, Dr. Kelly will be on that as soon as we're done tonight. Action items. Y'all got the April 16th, 2024 board meeting minutes. Had a chance to review those.
Mr.
Do I-
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion that we approve the board minutes as submitted.
We've got a motion by Mr. Bradshaw. We approve the board meetings for April 16th, 2024. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Zogue. Any discussion? All in favor of approving these minutes? So be it. Board meeting dates. We've been presented with the July 24 through June 2025 board meeting dates. Has everyone had a chance to review these? I think we moved one or two. My regular scheduled meeting.
Yes, we moved, the
April 15th.
October
No.
22nd, April 15th, and June 10th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to approve these board meeting minutes as presented, these board meeting dates as presented for the July 24 to June 25?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Burris. Do I have a second? Ms. Usherwood. Any discussion on these dates? All in favor of approving these board dates? Any opposition? So moved. All right, policy C, policy revision. We've got a second reading of JFB school choice, second reading.
There were no revisions, no additions or deletions from the first reading, so.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the second reading on JFB.
All right, I've got a motion by Mr. Zug to approval of the second reading of JFB school choice. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Burris. Any discussion?
I'd just like to say, I think the first time we did it, I didn't realize that Southwood as a magnet school was included. It's a high-performing Palmetto's finest school with basically 50% of kids from each side of town. Even when it's a little different, it's like 48, 52, I mean, it's very close all the time. It's got 50% poverty. It's one of the highest performing schools in the state. It's ranked 13th out of 346 middle schools in the state. It's done very well. I don't think that we ought to have kids go there that don't meet the audition requirements. I think I'm probably the only one that thinks that, but that's my opinion, and my view is that it should not be part of the should not be part of the choice because it's audition school and it's merit-based, and you should earn your place there in arts.
All right, we got discussion by comment by Mr. Griffith. Do we have any more discussion? All in favor of approving the second reading of JFB school choice, raise your right hand. Any opposition? Mr. Griffith opposed? Beg your pardon?
I didn't just like what he said, so it couldn't pass because we need to work on it again.
Did you vote yes or no? Ms.
No.
Okay, so we have two no votes and the rest 7 yes votes. Motion passes, second reading passes as per vote, 7-2. EBCB safety plans and drills, first reading.
Yes, Chairman Price and board members, I'm gonna ask Mr. Grant if he would come. This is a revision to a current policy we have, and Mr. Grant will explain it further.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. It's great to be with you tonight. I'd like to thank Mr. Feller and his team. They continually pursue practices in our district that are improving our safety practices and procedures, and that's really what brings us here tonight relating to policy EBCB in front of you. You'll notice in red there's only a few things that we're looking to add to this policy. The first one being related to exterior doors, classroom doors, and windows. We're wanting to put into the policy that these mechanisms remain closed and locked at all times. It's a very simple procedure that we're actually practicing in the school system now, but we just like to incorporate this into the board policy. It's a very simple, proven technique. You look around the country at other unfortunate events that have happened, and many of these things can be avoided if we are behind locked doors. So it's a very basic element that we're just wanting to incorporate into the policy related to the doors and windows. That's the first change. The second one in red you'll see is related to procedures that Mr. Pillar and his team are already doing. They're regularly checking our schools and campuses for school practices. Are we practicing what we're teaching people to do? Are there vulnerabilities that we need to be addressing? And that's what the security assessments section in red refers to. We'll continue to do that. Obviously, we've been doing it. We're just trying to incorporate these into the board policy as well. And lastly, primarily from the recommendation of our school board's insurance trust program, is constantly recommending us when they visit our schools that we need to make sure there are no windows covered in classrooms, in offices, and that's what that last element is. Obviously, there are exceptions to this coverings. If there's a medical need to cover it, if there's an emergency that requires to cover the window, we're going to cover those things in those instances. And also with the doors being ajar, there's times when those have to be opened as well, but we want them to remain locked. So if you have to quickly close the door, it's locked, and you're not wasting time trying to lock it. So that's primarily the changes we're asking for. If the board approves, this is on the first reading, so we would just ask for your approval tonight on the first reading.
All right. We've got a recommendation by Mr. Grant Administration for EBCB Safety Plans and Drills first reading. Do I have a motion? Mr. Bradshaw.
I do have some discussion. So
Okay.
you want to get a motion on the floor?
All right. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Patrick. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion, Mr. Bradshaw?
Yeah.
By Mr.
You,
Zugg.
you may can answer this, Wes, or Lieutenant Pillar, whoever. We used to have these set rules for fire drills, you know, and a lot of times you kept doors open or unlocked so that people can get in to save somebody in a fire. And now with all of the weapons and things, it seems like we're going opposite that. Is there a reason why we have two different rules, and which one should be on top of the other? Yeah.
Well, so to answer that, we haven't had a school burned down since like the 1950s, so it's a lot of our fire code and fire rules are just simply outdated. There's bills moving through Columbia now where we're even trying to back away from doing the monthly fire drills. You know, we don't ever want to take away from drills like we have, but we're doing monthly fire drills, but we're only doing 2 intruder drills a year, which to me, you know, adapting with the times, it has shifted. You know, we've even changed the way, I believe you and I spoke at the board retreat about how we even handle fire alarms and even explosive device calls now. You know, unfortunately, we've had more active shooter events in schools that, you know, since the last several decades that we had fires. So that shift is, like Mr. Grant mentioned, you know, multiple schools that we can tell you about that the doors were unlocked. You know, one that I talked about a lot that, you know, not that it's being inappropriate, it's just facts, is a shooting occurred in the room next door, and before that teacher could even react to that shooting, the shooter was in that classroom and subsequently, you know, did some awful things in that room. Matter of fact, we've got one of the mothers of the son who survived that shooting coming in October to speak. So it's just that shift of the doors externally and internally being locked for that ultimate safety. We talked a lot about this, and I talked to the schools about this a lot. As first responders, and you know, my law enforcement background, 25 years, we can get in, believe me. A locked door is not necessarily going to stop us. We were trained in procedures, and firemen, if there's any in the room, I apologize, but they're a lot more destructive than we are. And they can certainly get in as well. So, you know, that fear of keeping them out in the situation is really just not, I guess, it's out of date, that we need to keep them out. So the bigger fear being, unfortunately, a violent encounter happening in our schools is the reason for that change.
Thank you, Lieutenant Miller.
Yeah.
I saw, I'm not making a light, but I saw a picture on Facebook, the old tornado drill with a book over their head, like that's gonna help with concrete block, but I guess now we hold a Chromebook over our head. Thank you, Lieutenant Miller. Any more discussion? All right, we've got a motion and a second for the EBCB Safety Plans and Drills first reading. All in favor of this first reading? Any opposition? So moved. First reading passes. Dr. Kelly, our fiscal year 25 budget presentation, first reading approval.
Yes, we're going to ask Ms. Hurd if she'll come up. I think you'll be pleased with the budget presentation, but she will give you more information.
She's worked her magic.
I'm trying. That's the goal. All right, Dr. Kelly, members of the board, good evening.
Good evening.
It is that time for first reading of the budget. And a lot of this is a little bit of the same information that we talked about last month, last month. But I just want to make sure that everybody is aware of where we are in the process, what we still have left to do. So I'm going to be working in the presentation. I'm going to read some information that we just received yesterday from the state. So everybody knows exactly what we're doing and that we're very transparent with where we are in the process. So we will get started. Not going to go through this. This is what you saw last time. This is the importance of a budget. But I do want to stop and talk about this page again.
I'm sorry, Ms. Hurd, hold just one
Can we
second.
get it on our screens? Please. My eyes ain't what they used to be. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so this is the state budget process. And when we met in April, we had gotten through the House version of the budget. So everything that we presented last month to you were numbers from the House version of the budget. And so you can see that's about halfway through the state budget process. Since April 16th, we have gone through the Senate Finance and the Senate budget. So what you're going to see tonight is the Senate version of the budget. But as you can see, there are two more steps at the state level before Anderson 5 or any other district in the state is going to get their final numbers for next year. So we are at the mercy of the state in the process. So kind of the same thing, just in a different light as to where we are. House has completed its budget deliberations. The full Senate has completed the deliberations. This week, they have announced a conference committee. That's 3 members from the House, 3 members from the Senate. They get together to determine what the budget will be. That is not coming out. Their report is not coming out until June 18th to the 20th. And then the governor has until June 26th through the 28th to veto what they do. And then they have to come back and override vetoes. So we're not close to the end of the process. But what our procedure has always been in the past is we try to give you at this point the most conservative budget that we can present to you. So this is the worst case scenario, and then maybe additional funds will come later. So I just wanted you to know where we are, but I want to read to you what we got from Columbia, so forgive me, but just give me a minute on this. The last week of session resulted in long days, short fuses, vigorous debate, and goodbye speeches. The most important part of last week's Columbia session was the introduction of the House 2 amendment to House Bill 5100. That is where the Senate sent the budget back to the House, and they could concur, and we would be done with the budget, but they didn't. They put an amendment, so that's what House 2 is. They reverted back to the House budget. Chairman Bannister took the podium to give an explanation of the amendments, which was then followed by a number of amendments. Chairman Bannister's amendments began by amending the Senate-passed budget back to the House-passed version. This resulted in good news for education, which was the return of $230 million of appropriations to the state aid classroom, rather than settling on the Senate's version of $200 million. Chairman Bannister stated that the House had fully funded the new teacher's salary, while the Senate had not. The bad news is, in this scenario, this is the amount that
the amount that the school district will receive is not locked, so we will have to wait until mid-June before we have final numbers. With the districts in the final stages of their budget preparations for the 24-25 fiscal year with their boards, budgets will have to be approved without the benefit of knowledge of knowing exactly what will be funded. Other good news revealed by Chairman Bannister is that he stated there is an expectation that the Board of Economic Advisors will increase the revenue projections in Columbia for the state, and any new money identified can go into next year's budget that will be appropriated by the appropriated by the conference committee. It lists who the conference committees are, and it says the report will be offered to the respective bodies, the House and the Senate, on June the 18th. So, I just wanted you to know that we are giving you the best information that we have. We're in the same boat with every other school district in the state. We don't have final numbers. We are not going to have final numbers until you have already approved our budget. By state law, we have to have a budget in place by June 30th. So everything that you're doing is on our best estimate right now. So what you are seeing, that this is just a comparison where we are, kind of just what we talked about. Last month, we had House version. This month, you have the Senate version of the budget. Senate version, just as you heard in what we received from Columbia, Senate version is less favorable to education than the House version. So that's why there's less money in what's going to be presented to you tonight. But we feel like this is the most conservative view, and we could just add back if additional funding is available. Additionally, we have received our 135-day number allocation. So twice a year, the state reallocates funding based on the number of students you have in the district. So we have also received that. So this is truly the most update numbers that we had. It came to us May 7th. So this is what the state is sending out to all the school districts. So again, Senate version. Just remember, if they start talking about conference committee, House version, we're talking about the Senate version. So the highlights of the budget, not going to go back through. We did not add anything to what you saw last month. Nothing has been added to the budget, but to hit the highlights of what we talked about last month, just to make sure that if there's new folks in the audience, want to make sure they understand what we're thinking about, is that all staff would receive a cost of living raise. Teaching assistants, we talked about that. They would be getting a 9% raise, which is $1,500 on every sale on their salary schedule. So that would be a 9% raise for them. Teachers would get a $2,400 raise on every sale in their teacher salary schedule. What the state proposed that they just said that the House fully funded, that the Senate did not fully fund, was anywhere from $100 on some sales to $2,400 on was the most that the state said they would fund. As a district, I'm sorry, that is not $2,400. That's what we're doing. It's actually $4,500 for one sale, but we did $2,400 across the board. The state tells us what we have to pay bus drivers, so they were getting a 2.75% increase on the state minimum bus driver scale, and then all other staff were projecting a 2% increase for secretaries, administrators. Those folks would be 2%. We are asking for a step increase for all staff members. Teachers is mandated by the state, but we're asking that all staff members will get that if they're eligible for that. How do you become eligible for a step increase? Teachers must work 152 days. That is set in state law. That is not something that we dictate in Anderson 5. So as long as they work 152 days, they can advance into the next step. Anderson 5's rule is for everybody else, you have to work at least half of your contract. So for us at the district level, we're 240 days. We have to work at least 121 days for us to move to the next step. We also, yes, sir.
Does that affect somebody who's out on like pregnancy leave, maternity leave?
It could, yes, sir.
I've never heard anybody say they didn't get a step for that.
It could.
So if you're out 12 weeks, you miss too many, or 8 weeks, or whatever. Are they told that?
Oh, I'm sure they are. I don't know. I'm going to be real honest with you. I don't know how the new paid parental leave works for teachers and their step increase. I would need to do some research because that's a new regulation for us. But if you choose to take, sick leave or leave without pay and you go below that 152 days for a teacher, then you would not be eligible. And we get that from the state teachers certification. They tell us who will get the step increase.
Well, I wonder if they've made some exception to that since they've made a specific thing to let them, yes. You know
And
what I mean?
they may have, so we'll double check on that paid parental leave, because obviously, but I do think that outside of that one piece, if you were out, if you had a medical emergency and you took FMLA and you were out, then you would not get the step increase. We did do security enhancements during the year, and so we needed to add those into the budget. And then again, due to a policy increase that we had to increase personal days, we needed to increase our substitute budget for teaching staff. Some of the state mandated items that we talked about is an 11.8% employer health insurance increase and a 0.25% retirement increase. We did have about a $75,000 increase for workers' comp, but we did not have an increase, had a $75,000 increase in property and casualty. We did not have an increase in workers' comp. The school board's insurance trust called me a couple weeks after our board meeting and said, what are you guys doing up there? And you know, when your insurance company calls that, you're like, oh boy, what have we done? And they were like, you guys are doing really well. Your workers' comp modifier has gone way down. You don't have many claims. You know, you guys are doing a good job. We actually are not gonna have to raise your rates for next year, even though your payroll has increased over the year just due to pay increases from this time last year. So we were really excited about that. We do have safety committees at all our schools, and safety committees for our schools is really supposed to focus on workers' compensation related issues. So is there water fountains that need new rugs? Is there holes by the teacher's building, classrooms that need to be filled in? So we really have tried to communicate well with the staff about, hey, don't stand in chairs, you could fall. Let us know if you need new rugs. We try to communicate at least once a quarter with them. Really try to communicate toward the end of the year when everybody gets excited about field day and everything else. And so I want to say that Human Resources and Benefits has done a really good job over this past year for us not to have an increase, because another meeting I went to, most people's were going up about 7 or 8%, and ours stayed flat. Not a penny increase. So really proud of that. Yes, yes. But we will still try to, we'll still have our staff watching those videos on how to properly lift and tell us when there are things that, that you may need to keep our staff safe. Culinary gets cutting gloves with their knives. I know this past year we bought some cooling vests for our folks that are going to be cutting grass in the summer. And we actually get a grant for these things too. We get $30,000 to help with any workers' compensation related items that will benefit our staff. So that was a good thing. So we're trying to use it appropriately and train our staff with the money that we're getting, and also buy them some goodies that will help. And the school board's insurance trust has to approve anything that we buy. It has to be workers' comp related, but really happy about that. You guys know we've been talking about ESSER for a couple years. It ends officially September 30th. We had 46 positions in the ESSER funding. We've cut that down to 20. Most of those are part-time. And so it was a little over $6 million worth of staff and benefits, and we've got that down to $817,000. Those are all instructional related, instructional support, assistants, tutors at the elementary level. We do have one mental health counselor in there and some graduation coaches. So very much instructional is the only thing that stayed left. And then, as you know, we always look at teacher-pupil ratio first. So after going through everything throughout the district, we were able to save 1.4 positions across the district. New revenue, again, not one thing has changed on this sheet. I copied it from last month and pasted it right on in there for you. Tier 3 is an allocation from the state. State aid, that is not a true statement, what I told y'all. State aid to classrooms did change. That is the number that went down. That's the $230 million in the House version of the budget to the $200 million at the Senate version, and so Anderson 5 lost over $500,000. So that number was higher last time, and due to the cut, that is the line item that was cut. That is the one line item that we are really waiting on in the budget, is that one right there. As Mr. Thompson mentioned, yes, it is still Anderson 5 administration's goal to not raise millage. As you can see, the formula that the state allows all school districts to raise is CPI of the state plus your district's growth. The state CPI was 4.12, Anderson 5's was 1.56. So we could have went up 5.68, which was 10.8 meals, but we have a cap in Anderson County that we can't ask for more than 8 meals. But again, the major thing is Anderson School District 5 is not asking for a millage increase for next school year. But I do want to show you something. I know that we get a bad rap a lot of times about millage, and let me see if I can get this a little bigger for you. Okay. So I apologize that this is not huge, but this is, I just took this from 2020 until projected for next year. Sorry, don't like numbers crossing over there. So I did want you to see over the 5-year span of 2020 to 2025, Anderson 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 did not ask for a millage increase from 20 to 21. Anderson 2, 3, 4, and 5, unless something has changed, is not asking for a millage increase for next year as well. Anderson 1 is asking for a millage increase. Their community is growing exponentially, and they need to ask for a millage increase to continue their operations. So, over a 5-year span, Anderson 5's millage has increased 1%. We were 190, and we are 191 after 5 years. So the myth that we are taxing our community, if you look at numbers, is not the case from the millage rate. Yes, has assessments gone up? Has inflation and everything gone up? Absolutely, but Anderson 5 doesn't control that. We can only control the millage rates. So if people go buy new homes, if they buy new vehicles and those kind of things, their tax bills may be going up, but it is due to personal choices. Anderson 5's millage rate in 2020 was 190. It was 190 the next year. It went up to 194 the next year. 2023 went down for everybody, but except for Anderson 3. That's countywide reassessment. So they have to roll back your taxes where we're not getting any more money than we did the previous year. So that's why your millage rates went down, because assessments went up. So to get us the same amount of money, they said you need less millage. We did ask for millage going into this time last year. We did ask for millage. That moved us from 183 to 191, and we are not asking for millage next year. So I did just want to make sure that everybody is truly understanding that, yes, the millage rates are there, but we have not had this major swing that Anderson 5 is taxing our community unnecessarily for the growth of Anderson 5. So I have this sheet back to 2014. I can share it. I'll be glad to do that. The reason on the debt millage, I did show you 2014 because that is the first year that the sales tax went into effect. And I wanted you to see that the 1 cent sales tax, we have 20% going into to pay off debt in exponentially faster mode. 20% pays that off. So you can see that in 10 years, we're down to 14 meals. We're by far the lowest in the county. And so.
Ms. Hurd, am I correct that somewhere a few years ago, we took advantage of historically low interest rates and refinanced some of that debt? There was a one-time deal, we could do something?
We did. That was back in like 2016, 2017.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But that was just a one-time, okay, but that was a pretty good time.
Yes,
We
it was-
saved millions.
We saved millions of dollars.
'Cause I remember signing that thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Quickly
like
signed.
$20 million.
Yeah.
Yes, we went from like 5% down to like 2.
Yeah.
And now they're like 7 and 8%
Okay.
bonds. And that's what all of this debt millage right here is. That's, you know, not, I'm just talking about what's in the news. We know Anderson Ford did a bond referendum. That 44 is going up. I mean, they approved it. So they know, I'm sorry, I don't remember the number that they were quoting to their community to build the new Pendleton High School, but that number is going up. And I don't know if any, I do actually know that some other districts are looking to go for a bond referendum. So that may increase this numbers. So that was why I put the little star here. I didn't increase next year's because the auditor has to do that. And that will, the auditor as in the county auditor, John Binka. And that will depend on what the school districts are doing. So if Anderson 1 has had to build a new school, if they've got to have new technology, if they're having to use money for bonds, whether it's 8% money or a referendum, they did a referendum a few years ago, Anderson 1. So if they're doing that, that could change that projected. All I can speak to is Anderson 5 on the debt millage, and we are not asking for any new debt for any projects for the future. So, again, I know that we all read the papers, we all hear the what's out there, and when you live this world like I do every day, sometimes it is a little frustrating because are we perfect? No. No, we're not. Can everybody find something that they think that we could cut for something else? Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't do that. I don't say that we can't. Are we down to the bare bones where we can't pay payroll? No, we're not there. But Anderson 5 is the lowest in the 5 counties on taxes. So as we heard Mr. Thompson say, 3, we might have been voted against at the county board meeting, but some of that is personality and not facts. That is not numbers that Anderson 5 is taxing the taxpayers. So I'm sorry, I'm on a soapbox, but I just really want the facts out there, and that the only thing that the homeowner pays in Anderson School District 5 is this bond debt. And we are 14. We are the lowest in the county. You live anywhere else in Anderson County and you only own a residential home, you pay more than we do in Anderson 5. Okay, so then we know that if you own a home, you don't pay any of this up here, all right? But our businesses pay everything. So that's down here. We are the lowest in the county. Y'all, this is coming from the auditor. This is not Amy Herdmouth. This is Anderson County, John Binka tax levy is on the Anderson County website. So this is free for anybody to go see and get. If you look in the 5 years, we were 205, we're still 205. We are being conservative as we can. Now again, I'm not sitting here telling you over the last 5 years we haven't spent money on things or we haven't raised money on things. But what I am standing here telling you right now is this team has worked really hard this year to try to be transparent to the public and to our community under Dr. Kelly's leadership to make sure that this money is getting to the classrooms. It's a lot of work on some of the things we do. And we do have a lot of staff members at the district level and other places. But there are a lot of mandates that folks that do not live this world every day understand that we work really hard. So I'm sorry, missed that. And then I want to show you this. This is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So again, anybody can look it up. Got the website there. I just put $1 in on July 1 of 2019. The reason I did that is because 2020 year started in 2019. So from that year until March is the latest that they have up. The inflation rate is 22%. From 2020, from July 1, 2019 until March of 2024, the inflation rate is 22%. All right, going back over here. Anderson 5 has hit our taxpayers for a 0% tax increase. again, you buy different houses, assessments and all those things may make your tax bill go up, but it is not on the backs of coming from Anderson 5. I know Mr. Price and I have talked about this before. When you get your tax bill, if you look up in the top right-hand corner, it's got a pie graph. And it looks like all the money goes to the school district. But then if you look down in the bottom of it, it'll say amount abated. That's all your school taxes. They don't show you that up in the graph, that everything that came off, and you're just paying the 14. So, I will get back to the budget president. Yes, sir.
I'd like to say, Tommy, I think you'll back me up on this. You know, as a business owner, and you mentioned, you know, there's no break as a business owner in tax, for school tax. But I mean, I've always thought of it, you know, it's just an investment in the community, because the community's gonna be no better than the kids that we're putting out there, you know, and, you know, you gotta hire people, and you know, you want qualified people, good people, people that exhibit qualities that I think District 5 puts in them. So you know, I just always felt like that business tax, it is a lot. I mean, it is.
A lot.
But it's, you know, it's just an investment back into the, you know, the community we live in, so.
Well, we have to have good schools, or economic development doesn't want to come into Anderson County. And so that's important, and it's important.
That's the first thing they look at.
It is, they look at schools, and that's what's so counterintuitive to the funding of public education. This is really not, I'm not mad at anybody. What happens is I don't understand why we're funded the way we're funded, because, so you have Act 388 where no resident pays any taxes to the schools. It does, Columbia did push it all onto the businesses. You're the only people we can tax, is the businesses. And yet, without a good school system, we can't put you into the workforce, into our businesses. So I'm just like, and then on top of that, you guys will remember, I haven't gotten it for this year, the county abates $38 million from school taxes. So that's more money that by law, under the regulation, we can get, but businesses go to, the big businesses, you gotta be a big business. Big business goes to county council and gets that abated off. Again, we love our businesses. They're great partners with us. So it's not about that, but it's the funding structure of the state that has really hindered public education since 2007. We can only raise millage so much. Most districts across the state are raising it to the max and say, we have to just to keep our teachers. And so I sit in all these meetings and I hear all these school districts that are raising this, and we're trying to keep our level here. But at the same time, wanting to show our community, hey, we are good members. We have the high expectations you do, but we want to be a good business partner. We don't want to raise taxes. So it's a complicated subject. I learn something new every day. I try to stay on top of it. I try to figure out what my counterparts are doing. But I guess I'm just transparent. I want the public to know that we will open up the books for anybody at any time. Always have been. That's just who I am. I just, and that's Dr. Kelly's leadership. Amy, give them whatever they need. Tell them what they need. And I'm like, we can, because we're not hiding anything. Again, are you going to like everything we're doing? No. I'm sure one school wouldn't like what another one's doing. But what's good for one may not be good for another. And that same thing happens all across the state and our schools. We can't make them all cookie cutter. And unfortunately, we can't change the laws in Anderson 5 to fit what we need in our community. We're stuck. So anyway, sorry about that. I told Dr. Kelly I was not getting on a rant today. So just to wrap things up, the other additional revenue is just state or local money that we're getting. You'll see here property tax revenue, $1.2 million. That is based on increased assessments. Again, not changing the millage rate. We're not asking for new millage. That's just looking at the current year budget, looking at the county assessments for Anderson 5, and our budget's about $1.2 million too short. So we need to increase that. Oh, sorry guys. I don't think I'm adding them as I'm going instead of, all right. So again, just some highlights. We cut $1.98 million out of the budget. That's 7 positions and 32 accounts. You know, this is just like your house. If you're renting an apartment and you're saving for a house and you buy that house, once that money's gone, you can't go buy a new car the next year because that money's gone. We've cut this, so I can't come back and cut $2 more million next year without something else changing. Once it's gone, it's gone. So just wanted you to know that. And then we had $796,000 worth of requests that made it all the way through the budget process that we felt was very needed in the school system, but we just couldn't balance the budget with it, so we had to make hard decisions. So it's not a wish list. That's what I hear a lot of times from folks is, well, it was a wish list. It's not a wish list. It's utility cost. It's to keep the lights on. It's utility cost. It's a teacher laptop lease that we can get into a rotation. We used other money to do that to get us through for a few more years. It was an additional day of lunch on us to help us recruit teachers and keep them in. So you see that what the things are there, but we did have a request that made it through several rounds that we originally put on the budget, but to make sure we had a balanced budget, we just couldn't keep it in there. And so finally, like we talked about, this is worst case scenario budget. So if additional funding becomes available, again, we'll not know that until toward the end of June. So we'll prepare everything after you guys approve it for the county board based on what we know at this time. Again, every other Anderson County school district will do the same thing. But here are the things that we had to cut from last month to this month, that if we cut other things as well. But if funding became available, these were the top items that we would consider putting back in there. So we just wanted you to see those. And then the last thing I have is, so no millage increase for Anderson 5, salary increase for all staff members, at least 2% for all staff members. And then we have gone through every line item in the budget. It's about, you guys see it, it's a 76-page document just for the general fund. We went line item by line item. Cut things that I'm sure people will not like that we cut, but we felt like that's what we needed to do to make sure that the teachers received the raise and the classroom was kept intact. Really impressed with us shifting duties around from 7 people to other people within the district. Those were, for the most part, district level positions, not school positions. We did not hurt any of the schools, and all those jobs were just spread out among other people. No services have been cut. All the services will remain at the high level, but we did move those out. So we are asking for first reading tonight based on this information. The public hearing and second reading will be on June 4th, and then we will present to the county board in June, and they will have their meeting for approval in July. So that's where we are right now.
Thank you, Ms. Hurd.
Yes.
All right, we've had our fiscal year 25 budget presentation by Ms. Hurd for first reading and approval. Do I have a motion we accept the first reading for approval?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the first reading approval on the budget as presented.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Bradshaw. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Patrick. Any discussion?
One discussion, I didn't understand that you showed one thing that said you was given to the support of teachers' assistants, and then you said you cut it. I didn't understand that.
Yes, ma'am. All the teaching assistants will get $1,500 increase on their current salary.
Mm-hmm.
If additional funding is available, it's like we talked about last month, we understand that those staff members are some of the lowest paid in the district,
Mm-hmm.
but yet some of the most important. So if additional funding became available, we would like to give them that much more.
More?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, I thought you cut the whole thing, okay.
And I will say this, thank you, Ms. Hurd, for your presentation. It's a tough job, I mean, very tough job, but I know last year, about July, the first thing out of June, Dr. Kelly's mouth is, we're not having a tax increase. And you didn't count on all the other cuts, but
We did.
she cut the board salary again, so, you know. We got, what, chicken tenders tonight? Rick says we work for food, but anyway, any more discussion on the fiscal year 25 budget? Do I have a motion,
You got it.
You got
Okay.
it.
All right, all in favor of the first reading of the 25 budget presentation as presented, raise your right hand. Any opposition? Well, I dare somebody to vote against that. I might hit them. Or Amy will. All right, so that's so moved. All right, Dr. Kelly, our superintendent's report.
All right, so let's first talk about the comprehensive health updates. Per the Comprehensive Health Education Act of 1988, there are required components that we must instruct students on in middle school 6th through 8th. But we are wanting to change for the 24-25 school year to utilize a state and board approved comprehensive health education curriculum. It's called Essential Health Skills for middle school 2nd edition. With that change, it still will cover the required components. Within the law, parents are allowed to opt out, so we're going to continue to do that. They do that now, so they can continue to opt out. Within the law, it does say that parents have to be notified early, so they will be notified at the beginning of the school year, so we'll continue to do that. And additionally, in the law, the content has to be taught to children separated. So boys are separated from girls, so we will continue to do that. So really the only change that I'm asking, or really not asking, just updating you on, because it is state and board approved, we can just move forward. I just wanted to let you know that we will be changing curriculum. So we'll be utilizing the health skills for middle school, just like we have in the past. Any parents, and we have that in the parent letter as well, any parent that wants to review the curriculum, we will be glad to meet with them, sit down with them, talk with them about that, and walk them through any of that with the law. So just wanted to update you on that, that we will be utilizing. Yes.
Excuse me, Dr.
Yes.
Go ahead.
When you say opt out, so the parent can opt out the child to not to take this class?
They can opt out of 2 of the courses within it. So the law requires it. Do you mind if I read it? Because it's a lot.
Well, you don't have to read it, but what I was asking you is that when you say it's boys and it's girls.
Yes, ma'am.
But the parent can opt out of the child even taking it. So therefore, they will pick the child up that day, or you'll have somewhere else for the child to go during that period?
Yes, ma'am. So for example, I'll just say I opted out for my daughter to
But
take
I
it.
can read the book?
Yes. And so she just went up to the office and she just sat there, and then after it was over, she went back to class.
Okay.
They are not held, there's no penalty for it, there's nothing, it's just, and so the law says that parents can opt out for reproductive health and sexually transmitted diseases. And so that, we have a letter that the parents sign off on, and then it's handled very gingerly. Yes, ma'am.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Kelly, is this going to address the gentleman's question regarding sex ed?
Yes, sir.
Is it also going to honor his request that we open up the review committee to
Well,
review this again?
Because this is a state-approved curriculum, you do not have to have a review committee per the law.
Right.
But we are welcome to open it up to anyone who wants to review it. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And anybody can check that book out?
Yes, sir. I mean, yes, ma'am.
I read all 3 of them this weekend.
Okay. So I just wanted to update you on that.
It's a 650-page book, and only 6 pages are
Yeah.
dedicated to reproductive health, so it's
It's
not,
It's
it's
very,
not a lot. I mean,
It's
it probably
very
could be a little
basic.
more in-depth, but it's not a lot.
I can't
They're not
remember
opting out of a lot of time out of that class,
Yeah.
in other words.
But is the content surface content, or does it go in depth in those 6 pages?
no, it's very basic.
Because I
mean,
would-
very benign, it really
I
is.
just want to make sure that we.
Yeah.
But yes, we do have that for review, so anyone who wants to review that can. Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Keller, I thank you for immediately pulling the inappropriate material and getting this book, and thank you for letting me have a copy to read.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
increased abstinence is the best solution, whether it be teen pregnancy or sexually transmitted diseases. And it was very brief, I mean, it really was. But, thank you for that, Dr. Kelly.
Okay. All right. And before I turn it back over to Ms. Hurd, I do want to take time to acknowledge Dr. Hudson. Dr. Hudson has been serving the district for over 15 years. I believe that's right, Dr. Hudson? Yes. But he has been serving our children in the state of South Carolina for over 43 years. So, Dr. Hudson, we appreciate you. And this, unfortunately, I'm sure he's happy, but I'm not. This is his last board meeting. So Well, you might could come back and just visit, right? But Dr. Hudson, I do want to say on record that we appreciate you. We thank you so much for what you do. And as I've told you before, your legacy will continue on for generation after generation. So we thank you for all you've done, your support, working with our families, and we wish you the best retirement, and just don't rub it in our faces.
And I would like to add, Dr. Hudson's a true gentleman and just makes us proud to be a part of our district and the care you take with our students, our parents. And as Dr. Kelly said, you have the toughest job right now because they're mad when they come to see you, mad when they leave, but you just handle it just with as calm demeanor as I've ever seen. So I do appreciate everything you've done, Dr. Hudson. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Hurd, if you'll come forward and give us our monthly financial reports.
All right, this will be brief since we've already talked. Working on next year's more fun than looking at this year, but the good news is, looking at this year, there are no major issues or concerns that we have in regards to losing money or those kind of things. We are in good shape for this fiscal year. We've talked about it every month. Investment income is still very strong. Our rates are still very high at the bank. Our property tax revenue has exceeded budget. That's why we're adding to the budget the $1.2 million for next year. So I wanted you to see that. Finance staff is really working all of the school accounts and all of the open purchase orders to make sure we're getting everything in and processed and paid before the end of the year. There are no major concerns with any accounts. Some schools have money left in some accounts. Some schools don't have much money left. They've spent it all. And so we feel like we're in really good shape with our schools and our school pupil activity accounts. So after we get this budget done, we'll look at start wrapping up this year and provide you the good news with how we end the year in future months.
Anything else?
That's it.
Our 1 cent sales tax was up again.
Yep. All right. Any other discussion? We've got I need a motion to go into executive session for section 30-4-70A2, receipt of legal advice, and also section 30-4-70A1, discussion of employment, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, or release of an employee. Do I have a motion? We go into executive session for these items.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bradshaw. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Patrick. All in favor of going into executive session? So moved.
Right. You know what I mean?
Do we need
Thank
to
you.
conference room thing?
Oh,
Well, it's not.
Goodness, I didn't know if you'd been in this one.